Welcome to the Sports Watchdog radio show, hosted by Mason Kern. He keeps his nose to the ground to report on what's trending in professional and college sports, to inform, enlighten, and entertain. And now it's
the Sports Watchdog.
The Sports Watchdog, Mason Kern.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Sports Watchdog radio show here on Independent Talk 1100 KFNX. As always, I'm your host Mason Kern, here with you every Sunday from 12:30 to 1 p.m. talking all things sports. Now I've got some great stuff lined up for you today. First off, I'll be speaking to Anthony Buckets Blakes, a guard for the Harlem Globetrotters, and after that I'll be hearing from current Detroit Lions safety Don Carey III. I'll also be covering a couple of sports hot topics, and per usual for you basketball specific fans, I have happenings on the hardwood. First on deck in the batting order leads us to Major League Baseball, and after the gruelingly slow start to the MLB offseason, the hot stove heated up this week as some key players were moved, swapped, and signed throughout the MLB. Now, some of these moves did serve to help the future of certain franchises, while others definitely did hurt them, and I'm really talking about one franchise in particular, the Pittsburgh Pirates. It was really a wild week in general for Pittsburgh sports fans, because not only did the Steelers lose their divisional playoff bout to the Jacksonville Jaguars 45-42 after their failed major comeback attempt, and not only did the Penguins get blown out 5-3 to the Anaheim Ducks in Wednesday's regular season matchup, but the Pirates took a 75-win team from last season, a team that still had a majority of its core from the 98-win 2015 season, and they really blew up the whole ship. First, they traded their all-star ace pitcher Garrett Cole to the reigning World Series champions Houston Astros, and exchanged most notably for right-handed pitcher Joe Musgrove along with three other players, but they're not nearly getting the return for what they gave. And they didn't stop there, though. Just 2 days later, the team traded five-time All-Star and former National League MVP outfielder Andrew McCutchen to the San Francisco Giants for outfielder Brian Reynolds and right-handed pitcher Kyle Crick, plus $500,000 of international bonus money. And I know this really hurts and resonates with Pittsburgh fans because he's given his heart and soul to this franchise, and he was so graceful about it, posting on Twitter his goodbye, and it honestly made me even tear up a little bit. Very sad to see him go, and I know Pittsburgh fans are reeling after the team's decision to get rid of him. Now, they also bounced right-handed pitcher Shane Carl to the Atlanta Braves for cash considerations, while they did retain right-handed pitcher Felipe Rivero to a 4-year, $22 million extension. So that's seemingly the only wise thing they did this week, and I know fans are calling for management to sell the team, so we'll have to see where the Pittsburgh Pirates go this upcoming season. Lobbing it over to the hardwood now. Last week, I know I talked about the turnover that the updated NCAA AP Top 25 poll would see in the coming week, and this week is really no different. There are certain teams that will surely fall come tomorrow's updated poll, as this week featured a number of ranked versus ranked bouts and ranked versus unranked bouts that saw upsets across the board. First off, this week's top 3 sees Villanova remain in the top spot, while Virginia climbed to number 2, up 1 from last week, and Purdue rose to number 3 to round out the podium, climbing up 2 spots. Oklahoma, who currently sits at number 4, will surely drop come tomorrow after they were blown out 69-87 to an unranked Kansas State team, a game which saw freshman point guard Trae Young break another record this year, this time for the wrong reason though, committing 12 turnovers in the game. In the ranked matchup between number 5 Duke and number 25 Miami, the Blue Devils came back from a 13-point halftime deficit to take the game 83-75, likely bouncing the Hurricanes from the top 25 altogether. In a top 10 matchup that featured number 10 Kansas and number 6 West Virginia, the Jayhawks came back from a 16-point deficit of their own at one point to take the game and upset 71-66. Number 7 Wichita State took on unranked Southern Methodist University and were upset 83-78, while number 8 Texas Tech lost to unranked Texas 67-58. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think about these and other sports topics on social media at @SportsWatchdog, on Twitter at @TheSportsWatchdog, on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube as well. Now, we talk about social media, and obviously a lot happened in sports this week, which means a lot went down in social media as well. So we throw ourselves right into the octagon with some UFC news buzzing around Twitter this week. It's recently been announced that UFC 223 will headline its main event as Tony Ferguson versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. This leaves current lightweight champion Conor McGregor in the dust, as he has yet to put on a title defense ever since the hype leading up to and after his boxing debut and loss against Floyd Mayweather. What Dana White and the UFC could potentially do is strip McGregor of his title and put it on the line for UFC 223, a scenario that has floated around the interweb of late. Needless to say, the hype is real surrounding this upcoming fight, and whether or not McGregor decides to make his UFC return, the lightweight division is in good hands for the foreseeable future. Plus, stripping McGregor's title would force his hand at a return to UFC, potentially in a comeback fight to win his title back from whoever wins Nurmagomedov or Tony Ferguson. All right, gang, the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on Independent Talk 1100 KFNX will come right back at you after this quick word.
Attention outdoor enthusiasts. When the sun goes down, be sure to have run lights. These hands-free wearable safety lights are perfect for any nighttime or low light activity, from running, cycling, hiking, or other everyday activities like walking the dog or gardening. Run Lights LEDs provides a 135-degree radial arc of light up to 40 feet ahead to increase the wearer's visibility. Reflective strips and accents also help pedestrians be seen. Get yours at GoRunLights.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on Independent Talk 1100 KFNX. I'm your host, Mason Kern, and joining me now is Anthony Buckets Blakes, a guard for the world-famous Harlem Globetrotters. Years of practice has made Buckets one of the most accurate shooters around, hence the name by which he's become widely known. Over the years, he's had an array of accomplishments. This includes breaking the Guinness World Records record for the most basketball underhanded half-court shots in 1 minute, dropping 6, one more than the previous record. He actually made those 6 shots in just 46 seconds. Also on the Globetrotters' very first World Trick Shot Day in 2016, Buckets nailed the highest shot ever recorded in North America. From the top of the Tower of the Americas in San Antonio, Texas, Buckets made a whopping 583-foot basketball shot to a hoop located below. Earlier on, Buckets was not only an outstanding basketball player growing up, but he also lettered in track and football while in high school. His many accomplishments is proof positive that hard work pays off both on and off the court. So Buckets is here to give us some intel on the Globetrotters' newest endeavors and share a bit about his experiences with this legendary organization. Hey Buckets, welcome to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show. Glad you could join us.
Thank you. Thanks for the wonderful intro.
You're welcome. Thank you again for being here. So, first off, the Harlem Globetrotters are really such a prolific organization, obviously with an amazing history. So, how did you get involved with the organization in the first place?
Well, I played professionally in other places after, getting out of University of Wyoming. But also, when I was done, one of the Globetrotters scouts called me. I returned from Europe, and they sent me on a 10-day workout, or basically a 10-day speak. Then they signed me after 6 of those 10 days, and here I am in my 16th season.
Wow, that's really incredible. I mean, the path that's taken you to where you are now is pretty extraordinary, I would say. And while it's fairly intuitive, tell us how your signature Globetrotter name Buckets came to be.
Well, some of us come with names and some of us earn our names. My teammates started calling me Buckets because I could score a lot of baskets in a hurry. I like to say Buckets before I release my shot. And, it's very fitting right now because I got a Guinness World Record for the most underhand half-court shots made in under a minute, the highest shot ever made in North America, as well as me and 4 of my teammates set the Guinness World Record for the most half-court shots made in 1 hour. The record to beat was 200, and we made 348. So it's been working for me.
Well, we talk about world records now. Individually for you, which would you say is the most near and dear to your heart out of all of them?
I would say my underhand half-court shot. I think, that shot kind of went away. Rick Barry mastered it from the free throw line back in the day. People like to call it the granny shot, so I'd like to give the grannies a shout-out. But it's that's one of my favorites as an individual record. I think it's pretty awesome to be accurate shooting like that from anywhere on the basketball court.
Now, Buckets, can you give I understand that you and the Globetrotters are going on your Amazing Feats of Basketball World Tour, so can you give our listeners some more info about that? What's new about this year's tour?
Well, we got a lot of things going on. First of all, we got some of the most amazing athletes in the world. We got high-flying dunkers, guys who are often asked if they're using trampolines to dunk. And no, we do not as players, but we do have the flying globies that we added. During one of our breaks, you'll see some trampoline dunkers. But also some of those Guinness World Records that were set by myself and my teammates, you'll see at the games, which is unusual when you see people who hold Guinness World Records. You don't usually see them take place when you're around that person. Well, myself, with my underhand half-court shot, you guys will see that. One of my teammates, Nate Big Easy Lofton, has the longest hook shot inside of an arena and the longest blindfolded hook shot inside of an arena. You guys get a chance to see things like that. My teammate Scooter has the longest spin on the nose, which is pretty awesome. He can also spin it on his head, but no one can beat him spinning on the nose. And then my teammates Ant and Cheese has the most NBA three-pointers made in a tandem in 1 minute using one basketball. So you'll get to see them knock down three-pointers as well as our four-point shot. Speaking of four-point shots, too, my teammate Firefly, I think he made over 20 four-point shots in one game. So that's a lot of points. I don't want to do the math right now. But he's a pretty amazing guy. And, you're going to see our female teammates. We got Krissa Ace Jackson. We got Sherelle Torch George. We got women on our team that are just as phenomenal as the guys, and I think it's pretty awesome. Being that I have sisters, I grew up with sisters, and I have now added some sisters to my roster because we're all like a big, huge family. And then lots of crowd participation when you come to our Amazing Feats of Basketball game. We're going to pull out some kids, some parents, and some grandparents and have fun with them on the basketball court. We have an amazing thing you could pay a little extra for called the Magic Pass. It starts probably about an hour and 30 minutes before the game, and you get a chance to go down on the court, get the ball spent on your finger, dribble the ball, shoot on a professional basketball court, which is a dream for some kids, as well as meet us as players and the coach, and also try on one of our uniforms. We got big, huge uniforms you can try on. One of my teammates wears a size 20 shoe, so we always put a new pair of his shoes out so the kids can step their foot in those.
Well, yeah, that definitely seems like quite the experience that the Globetrotters have offered you, and really the team as a whole, the opportunity to be able to bring so much joy to people around the world. And that kind of leads me to my next question. Overall, how would you say that the Globetrotters have influenced you as an athlete and really a person in general?
The Globetrotters have turned me into and helped me become more of a well-rounded individual. I think it does the same for my teammates, but personally speaking, you get a chance to play the game you love. You get a chance to see the whole world and come back to the United States, which is a melting pot in which a lot of different cultures assimilate here. And so you could relate to others like probably unlike anybody else because you've been to their country, you've submerged yourself in their culture and that country, and now when you come back, you meet someone from South Africa that lives in the U.S., you meet someone from China that lives in the U.S., you meet someone from Germany, from England, from Dubai that lives in the U.S., and now you guys have some common ground you could talk about and discuss some things. And also, as a Globetrotter, you're known as ambassador of goodwill, and you're expected to be abreast of what's going on with our community outreach programs. So you learn, how to speak in public, how to conduct yourself during an interview, and how to deliver a positive message to, kids who consider you to be a role model.
Well, those are definitely some great core values that they instill in their players, but I think really what all of you guys do for your respective communities is really incredible, so thank you so much for that. Well, Buckets, thanks so much for your time and sharing such great information. Our listeners surely got a lot out of it. Where can fans go to buy tickets for the upcoming Amazing Feats of Basketball World Tour?
They can go to HarlemGlobetrotters.com. Our website is very, very elaborate. You can buy tickets on there. You could also see videos and bios of the players. You can see some of the things that we got coming up. And also you can follow us on our Twitter at Globies. We have a Harlem Globetrotters YouTube channel. Just type in Harlem Globetrotters in YouTube, as well as Instagram. It's Harlem Globetrotters. And so we got a lot of good things going on if you follow us on social media as well.
And with that, once again, I'm Mason Kern, and you're tuned into the Sports Watchdog radio show on Independent Talk 1100 KFNX. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
Want to print brilliant, professional quality photos, pictures, and graphics? Then get the Expression Photo XP 8500 Small-in-One printer. It produces borderless photos up to 8x10 and prints 4x6 photos in just 10 seconds. Built-in USB and memory card slots make PC-free printing easy, and with Epson's Creative Print app, you can wirelessly print single photos, collages, stationery, and more from your tablet or smartphone. Get it at epson.com. That's EPSON.com.
You're listening to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on Independent Talk 1100 KFNX. As always, I'm your host, Mason Kern, and joining me now is a very intriguing guest from the NFL. On the line is Don Carey III, a safety for the Detroit Lions, who's authored a new book titled It's Not Because I'm Better Than You. Hailing from Hampton Roads, Virginia, Don received his bachelor's degree in building construction technology from Norfolk State University, and shortly thereafter, he was drafted in the 6th round of the 2009 NFL Draft by the Cleveland Browns. He spent 2 years with the Jacksonville Jaguars and is currently in his 7th year with the Detroit Lions, where he's making his mark. In the 2015 season alone, Don led the NFL in solo special teams tackles with 14, and tied for second in total special teams tackles with 16. He quite notably recorded a special teams tackle in 11 of the 16 games during that particular season. Now a published author, Don's book, It's Not Because I'm Better Than You, features commentary by numerous NFL players, along with Don's own insights on what makes some people more successful than others. It reveals crucial principles for realizing achievement in your own life as well. So he's here to tell us more about that and also talk a bit of football, of course. Hey Don, welcome to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show.
Well, thank you for having me.
So Don, I'll start out with the obvious. What's your new book all about? What can readers expect to gain from reading it?
In the book, I try to detail principles that I believe are critical in helping someone become successful, regardless of the profession that they go in. In my life, I followed certain sets of principles that I believe that really have given me the upper hand above others in getting to the NFL, and not only getting to the NFL, but being a great player in the NFL.
Now, you're obviously playing right now, so why did you choose to write a book at all? What motivated you to write a success-oriented book that reaches far beyond athletics and extends into a reader's business and personal lives as well?
Sure. So the reason I wrote the book is because my wife and I travel around speaking to a lot of youth, high school, college students, and I'm often asked, how do I become the person that I am today, right? The 9-year NFL veteran. How am I known as the best to do what I do, or one of the best, I should say. And the title of the book is the answer I always give them. It's not because I'm better than you. And by that, I want people to see, hey, there are more factors that go into being quote-unquote great than just talent alone.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, talent is, of course, helpful, but it isn't the sole factor in what makes people great, especially in your case. So what are some of the crucial life principles that you impart in your book outside of just athletics?
So the idea of work is one that I think is missed a lot. So I put a quote in there by Thomas Edison, and it says, opportunity is missed by most people because it's dressed in overalls and looks like work. You know what I mean? It's definitely going to speak of all the amount of time and energy it takes to be great at something. You know, we have a lot of young, talented individuals, but we're raised up in a microwave generation where you want things now, and you really have to put a lot of time and energy into one specific thing over a period of time before you can actually start seeing the fruit of it.
Definitely, yeah, I think that's a great principle to go by. It's very true indeed. Now, like I said in the intro, it wasn't just you who wrote the book, but you sought out advice from other NFL players as well, gaining commentary from them. So who were they, and in what way did they contribute to the book?
Right, so there's several guys I've played with over the years who've had, an influence on me. Guys like Haloti Ngata, Derek Cox, Jason Hanson, just to name a few. I mean, there's about 12 total. If I give you all of them, I'll be naming them for a while. But these are individuals who are not only great players, who played for the game for a while. They're great men. And to be able to hear their insight that they have is honestly is the best part of the book in my mind. And, of course, I think I give some good insight, but when you hear the inspiration that they have and the common theme behind all of their messages is really inspiring.
And obviously the road to success as a whole is never easy, whether it be in professional athletics or in business. And I'm sure it wasn't easy for you either. So how did you overcome adversity faced in your own life journey?
You know, man, just never giving up. I tell a story when I was in high school how I sent out highlight tapes, to various schools, hoping that somebody would, catch on and want to give me a scholarship. And out of all those tapes I sent out, not one school gave me a scholarship. And the one reply I got back was from Norfolk State University. It was a school I ended up going to, but it was a different coach who received my highlight tape, and he told me flat out, son, you're too small, you don't have the right skill set, you're never going to make it on a D1 level, right? And if I would have let his words, if I would have let his words cause me to walk away from the game of football, I would have never made it to where I am now. And it just so happens that guy gets fired several weeks later, and the new head coach at Norfolk State, I'm one of the first ones that signed, a full scholarship with him, and then I go on to start all 4 years at Norfolk State and make it to the NFL. Right? So, I mean, there's a saying, I'm big on quotes and sayings, man. There's a saying that it goes, Fate whispers to the warrior, you cannot handle the storm. But the warrior whispers back, I am the storm. You know what I mean? So you can either let adversity, your storm, you can let adversity, rule over you, or you can have the mindset, no, I'm better than this. Like, I'm going to overcome this. I'm going to come out victorious over this. And that's kind of a mindset I've had for a good portion of my life.
And I think your work ethic is definitely commendable for sure, but I want to shift over to the NFL now, this current season. Obviously, since you play for the Detroit Lions, your outlook on your team is different than others, but being a veteran in the league, what's the mindset around NFL locker rooms as you head towards the end of the regular season?
It's the same mindset we've had, We played an NFL team. We can't look past these guys. We got to give them our full attention. They do a lot of things well. We got to figure out how to take advantage of some of the things they don't do so well. The good thing about this team is we're not just associates, we're not just employees or coworkers, we're brothers. We truly are a band of brothers who enjoy being around each other. And we're excited about the challenge. And the challenge that we have, we have to win out to make any type of playoff run. And we're going to do what we have to do.
Now, throughout the whole season, the Lions were middle of the pack fighting for a playoff spot. So how does being a fringe wildcard team affect the players' mentality on the field versus clinching a spot in the division?
Well, our team is so young that the young guys wouldn't even know the difference, to tell the truth. They're still trying to make it through an NFL season. But in our situation, man, we don't even think about that. Each week we're trying to be 1-0. You know what I mean? We have 16 one-week seasons.
Definitely, yeah, for sure. And lastly, Don, thanks again for your time. I just want to talk about the controversy surrounding this NFL season, what with the national anthem protests and the president's comments earlier in the year, and some of the other events making headlines this season. But what's your perspective on the current NFL culture and the impact on the game as a whole?
The current NFL culture? I don't think the NFL has an issue with its culture. I think players want to play football. I think fans want to come and see football. And I think for the most part we've given them that. The things that happened earlier on in the season after President Trump's comments, in my opinion, have more to do with President Trump making the comments than, the actual issues that were going on outside of the NFL itself. But now as we see as those things die down, people are back to football as usual.
Well, Don, thank you for joining us again today. There was some really interesting information and insights. Where can readers go to find more information about your book, It's Not Because I'm Better Than You?
Sure. You can go to notbetterthanyou.com. That's not better than, THANU.com.
All right, Don, thank you so much again. Everyone be sure to go check out that title. It's sure to give you some great advice from a multitude of NFL players on your career endeavors. All right, everyone, the Sports Watchdog Radio Show with yours truly, Mason Kern, on Independent Talk 1100 KFNX. We'll be right back after this quick word.
Hey sports fans and gamers, check out the Zeiss VR1 Plus. It's great for anyone who loves adventure, learning, and exploring. The virtual reality headset offers hundreds of compatible app options, from videos, news, and gaming to exploring luxurious beaches and exotic locations, all from the comfort of your couch. And for the kids, there are endless educational benefits with this headset, such as interactive and immersive learning experiences. Find it at Zeiss.com.
You ready to hoop it up?
This is Happenings on the Hardwood.
As always, at the end of the Sports Watchdog radio show here on Independent Talk 1100 KFNX, we're going to outlet over to some basketball news. So, what a wild week it was in the NBA. It seemed as if tensions ran high across the entire league this week as fans got a glimpse of an NBA era of the past, back during the times of the infamous Malice in the Palace. To kick off the cycle of anger in this week's iteration of the NBA, in a face-off between the Toronto Raptors and Philadelphia 76ers, Raptors point guard Kyle Lowry and 76ers forward Ben Simmons exchanged heated words and were promptly ejected upon receiving double technicals. Simmons then made a motion to the tunnel and appeared to suggest to Lowry that he should meet him outside. However, nothing occurred after the ejections, and Philly took the game 117-111. Now, in the post-game presser, Ben Simmons came out and said how he is not going to take no BS from anybody this season, and he's a really big dude, so I don't know what Kyle Lowry was thinking picking a bone with Ben Simmons. Yes, he is a rookie, but Ben Simmons, I know, can do some damage, and his 6'10 stature is pretty menacing to say the least. Now, after that, Chris Paul was reunited with his former team in a match between his Houston Rockets and the Los Angeles Clippers, and things started fine. Paul was received with a standing ovation, but things turned sour very quickly, and this game was really interesting, guys. Forward Blake Griffin for the Clippers got a no call after an apparent goaltend, and as he came back up the court, he nudged Rockets head coach Mike D'Antoni with an elbow, sending him into an outrage. So you have Mike D'Antoni, head coach, and Blake Griffin exchanging words now, cussing each other out on the court. And now, as the Rockets were trying to defend their coach, you have forward Trevor Ariza, who is guarding Griffin on a play and rips his tights. And then Blake Griffin and Trevor Ariza are going at it all game long. Jill Green also got a few licks in throughout the game, shoving and pushing a little bit. And then the game ends, the Clippers win, and the Rockets put on a Trojan horse type of scenario as they used a backdoor that Chris Paul knew of to try and confront the Clippers in their own locker room as their center Clint Capella knocked on the front door as a diversion. So you have Clint Capella knocking on the front door while you have Gerald Green, Trevor Ariza, James Harden, Chris Paul all storming in the back to try to get in the Clippers locker room. It's very crazy. Clippers won 113-102, and there will be the punishment. We're gonna have Trevor Ariza and Gerald Green both suspended for 2 games with no sanctions being held out for the rest of the players involved. Now, next, in the Minnesota Timberwolves contest against the Orlando Magic, things got heated after multiple plays between Timberwolves forward Nemanja Bjelica and Magic shooting guard Aaron Aflalo. Now, Aflalo was visibly upset after being slightly shoved by Bjelica and responded with a haymaker of a right arm swing that narrowly missed his face. Now, in order to protect himself, you have Timberwolves Bjelica subsequently putting Aflalo in a devastating headlock. So, Aaron Aflalo throws this punch, throws a right-handed jab, but it's not just a jab. He swung his arm at Nemanja's head. And so to protect himself, Nemanja grabs Aflalo's head and puts him in a headlock. And you have to see this video if you haven't. It's very comical. Obviously not in the moment. It could have been very dangerous, but Nemanja said after the game he's just trying to defuse the situation. He grew up on the streets. He's not trying to fight anyone. And Aflalo was visibly heated, so that whole situation was promptly taken under control. Both players were ejected, and the Magic took the game 108-102. Now, most recently in the game between the Charlotte Hornets and the Washington Wizards, point guards for the opposing teams, Michael Carter-Williams and Tim Frazier, were both ejected after Carter-Williams started screaming in Wizards center Jason Smith's face after a hard box out. So, in response, Tim Frazier tried to juke out the referees, holding him back as an attempt to get to Carter-Williams, and due to the ferocity of the players' actions, both were ejected. So, after Jason Smith boxed out Michael Carter-Williams got up and started screaming in his face, and Tim Frazier really didn't like that, so he got up and tried to defend his player, which I would say is pretty commendable. Now, tension was pretty high. It was a blowout. The victory went to the Hornets as they blew out the Wizards 133-109, so I don't know really what Tim Frazier was doing getting ejected. Wasn't helping out his team too much, and one really has to wonder why the sudden change in players' attitudes and actions, but I personally think the league needs to get back to basketball. Sure, these antics show the heart and the passion and defending their coaches, defending their players, but this isn't UFC. This is basketball. Well, that's a wrap, everyone. Anybody wanting to connect with me, the Sports Watchdog, on Twitter can do so at @sportswatchdog, and on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube as well at the Sports Watchdog. So until next time, keep your eye on the ball.
The Sports Watchdog.
The Sports Watchdog, Ace and Kern.